All right, welcome to another episode of Most Man. How we doing out there? Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, smash that subscribe button. Rumble, we're on Rumble now. Come to Rumble, smash the Rumble button. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartMedia. JoinTheMen'sClub.com is the website. Contact at JoinTheMen'sClub.com is the email if you want to reach out. So, yeah, today he's back. John
Like a bad penny. I just keep turning back.
Hey, no, not a bad penny, a good penny. We got John O'Shea, and
Today I brought a friend.
yes, you did. Baron Purselley.
Purselley. Yep.
It's my handwriting, not my. Trust me, I write. It's my type A handwriting.
That's okay.
All right, so
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So they're going to know who John is. Why don't you tell us who you are, Baron?
My name's Baron Purselley. I was born here in Fort Worth, and I've got a swimming pool company called Purselley Pools. It's 25 years old this December. I started when I graduated from TCU in 1999, and we're going strong. And I've got a little 10-year-old daughter, and my wife Mandy and I have been married for 18 years, and I'm a MAGA Republican. I love what President Trump has done, and we had our House seats changing hands in D.C., and I was looking around to find out who's gonna get in the race, and came across John, and went and met with him, and here we are.
Okay, so John, you got anything on the hot seat?
Yeah. So, things are heating up literally as we speak. In fact, early voting begins tomorrow. So this weekend, and normally weekends, Saturday's normally a recharge day for me personally, and then Sunday's a God and family day. But I'll candidly speaking, I didn't stop all weekend. Saturday morning started off men's prayer group over at Kenneth Copeland Ministries or Eagle Mountain campus. Amazing group of guys. I'm just really blessed to have been taken in and embraced by those guys, and then prayed over the candidates and everything. And then immediately we had 3 get out the vote meetings. We had to split up and take different ones. We're supporting other candidates who are running for Texas House seats. Us being the congressional race, so we have a bigger district, and so we have more volunteers, and so we're kind of helping some of these people take out the incumbents who were the Ken Paxton impeachment voters. So we're working on 3 of those campaigns here locally. Cheryl Bean, David Lowe, and then Mike Olcott over in Parker County. And then, Mike's got his own army. He doesn't necessarily need my help, but great guy.
What's his name?
Mike Olcott.
Yeah, I don't know him, but I know that name.
Yeah, well, he's somebody you need to check out in Parker County for sure.
Yeah.
But then, so then after that, then there was a neighborhood association meeting, wrap that up. Then yesterday we had, there's a church, and God, I encourage people to remember, that God's supposed to be the center of all parts of your life. And if your church won't talk about cultural issues or politics, you need to go find a new church. But we were brought up and prayed for over at Mercy Culture. They had 2 church services, a couple thousand people at both. And they said, look, these are our friends and family. These are people who share our values. It's not an endorsement, but we just want you to know who they are. And so we went to those, and then there was a meeting. There was a meet and greet fundraiser for me over in Arlington at this exact replica of Andrew Jackson's house called the Hermitage on Lake Arlington. And then there was a meet and greet over at Vince and Mona Puente's afterwards, where they had 10 candidates that they were supporting, and there were, 150, 200 people in the room, to talk. So it's going nonstop. But the reason why I brought Baron here is because, as I'm mentioning to you, it's time for most men to stand up and get involved, get off the sidelines, save this country. And if you don't feel called to run for office, well, then I encourage you to do something like what Baron's doing. It's been amazing. The guy looked us up, called the office, said, I want to come in and meet John. We sat down, we started talking for, what was it, 30, 45 minutes?
It was great.
And all of a sudden, Baron goes, all right, man, I'm in. And I mean, this guy has been Johnny on the spot. We've gotten in his golf cart and driven neighborhoods and handed out push cards and yard signs. And in fact, I had to go over by your neighborhood not too long ago to go deliver a sign. And I'm like, man, this is John O'Shea country over here.
Telling you.
Yeah. And look, I mean, here, and I do want Baron to kind of share some of his story here, but candidly speaking, so when the establishment went in and chose my competition, when they made their selection, this state representative, Craig Goldman, man, he outraised me 5-1 like that. And he's spending money on commercials. He's sending out mailers. He's doing all these things. Well, the numbers are coming out pretty good for us. And there was a state rep who's involved with Mercy Culture, and I don't know if he wants me to mention it or not, but he told me, he goes, John, man, I have not seen a ground game in any race like yours. And it's because the people have gotten involved and they've come in and helped. And, if and when I win,
You're going to win.
yeah, it's going to be two things. God's hand's been in this, and then because he's attracted people like Baron who are like, look, our country literally is hanging in the balance. I can't sit idly by. I don't want to personally run for office, my family situation, my business. I just don't feel the calling. But what I can do is I can help another candidate get over the goal line. And so Baron is typical of this army of people that I have.
I was shocked when you told me how many people you have.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Well, and I mean, and there's these group threads and these different channels where they're going back and talking. I didn't know it until this morning, but they had ordered 3 banners that were endorsing me and another candidate, this Cheryl Bean, who's running for Craig Goldman's old seat, House District 97. And they hung them over overpasses and were waving flags and, waving at cars as cars passed in rush hour traffic this morning. I mean, I didn't even know they were doing that, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So are the voting stations the same as what we vote for the presidential and all the Senate and all that?
Yeah.
So it's going to be our community.
Your community centers, the schools,
Same
libraries,
places.
stuff like that. Yeah. And so early voting, as I said, starts tomorrow morning and runs through March 1st. And then the Super Tuesday that's it. That's primary day here in Texas. And
March 5th. March 5th.
Super Tuesday. They actually expand the number of polling places then. So if you don't get into your early voting, in the next week and a half, March 5th, game day, you got to go. But there will be an increased number of polling places at that point in time.
Well, I'll go vote tomorrow.
All right, go get it. I'll at least I'm getting 1 vote. So
yeah, well, no, I'm buying some property out in it's called Perrin, Texas. Have you ever heard of Perrin?
Mm-mm.
It's in between like Springtown and Weatherford.
Okay,
kind of like
that is all right.
A little northwest of Poolville.
Okay,
I like that area.
Yeah, so it's not. I'm buying some acreage
That's
out there.
MAGA country for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a big group of guys that, there's people they can't keep these lots fast. They sold 12 lots on Saturday.
Parker County is the 6th fastest growing county in the country right now.
Out of the city.
This is just on the Jack side. Just mine is, but part of their development is in Parker. Mine's in Jack, and that's fine with me. But so I was talking with them, and these are big Fort Worth. They're Fort Worth and Parker County guys. Right. I mean, what's his Monty? You might know Monty. He's a land developer, national property, or I've got it out in my truck.
I probably remember.
I guarantee you know this guy.
Yeah.
He knows you. I know that. Yeah.
That's good.
He grew up in Grandview. Yeah, that's south of Burleson, right? Grandview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he's a Fort Worth boy now, and all the other guys are Alito guys. But they run in the circles that we need to be, and we talked about it for 45 minutes, because the guy that I bought my land from, the sales guy,
right,
or my guy, I texted him that video that you sent me, and he said, I've shared that to he said, at least 15 of my friends. He said, we were talking about it at Railhead. I said, you need to just mention his name and take the temperature of the room, because you run with the people that can spread the word. Right. He said, I didn't even have to mention what he was about. People know who he is. So that was, yes, they were doing that. And then I shared that video to my Facebook page, and I've got 3,300 people on mine.
Wow.
I didn't know it. I thought Tyler was going to outdo me, and I was like, let me check and see how many people I got. I got 3,000. I was like, God,
that's cool.
But I've got a lot of comments.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
So, well, why don't you tell what Baron's doing, or y'all kind of take the floor? I'm gonna let y'all roll.
Well, Baron, why don't you take a little moment in the spotlight?
Well,
Talk to this camera, Baron.
well,
And a mic, just get the mic a little bit closer.
I went. I think John and I have talked on multiple occasions, kind of around this.
You can look at me, but I'm just saying if you want to stare down the barrel,
Yeah.
that's the one you stare down.
Okay. But we've talked about the subject matter, and I think politics can get real nasty.
Yeah.
Real nasty, real fast. And I think you take a deep breath and you step back a little bit and realize, well, what are we trying to do? And what I'm trying to do, I consider myself a volunteer, and I consider myself. I'd like to be more a part of the process, meaning helping people that really do feel called to go and become a representative. And there's tons of things to do. When I found out that I kind of watched the process in D.C. and wasn't real happy with the way things were going with our congressperson, Kay Granger, and I don't want to discount Kay Granger. I think she's
Wasn't that right after the Jim Jordan vote?
It was after the Jim Jordan vote, and after that, I was kind of like, you know what? And I thought to myself, Kay Granger has done some good things for Fort Worth. We're not here to
Bash on.
bash Kay Granger. But I said, there's something about a time. There's a timetable, and there's a point to where, in my opinion, there's a point to where you go from public servant to career politician. And I just think that the public servant thing is a badge of honor. And I think when you become a career politician, I don't think that's a badge of honor. I think it's a badge of dishonor. And I saw that vote with Jordan, and I thought to myself, that's it. Who in the hell is running against Kay Granger? And I looked I found this guy, John O'Shea, and I was like, I went to his website and watched some of his videos, and this is the way it needs to be. You need to be able to reach out to the person who's going to represent you, and they need to respond back.
Right.
And I sent it. I just went to the website and said, hey, look, I'd like to meet. I want to get behind somebody, and I'd like to sit down with John and find out if we are our kind of he's the our goals and our platform kind of lines up, and very welcoming. Got a respond back from John's campaign within a day, and they said, when would you like to come see John? I said, just whenever he's available. I mean, I'd like to just come in and visit with him. I'd like to talk face to face with him.
Yeah.
And they said, that's no problem. How about tomorrow, or how about Thursday? And we all worked out, and I went over to their headquarters and walked in, and John was very welcoming. We went into his office, and we just sat down and just started talking. And John kind of told me about himself and about kind of what he felt called to do. And one of the first things I asked him was, well, have you talked to Kay Granger? I mean, have you, because I think there's something to going into somebody and saying, look, I'm going to run. Maybe there's a way we can work. You can
help each other out.
Yeah, of course. And that wasn't necessarily the case. But John said, you know what? I've already talked to her, and I did sit down. I said, that's commendable. And so we just kind of went on and talked some more about his goals and his platform and what he wants to accomplish. And man, I was sold by John. And within a few days, John was starting to kind of trickle in things, talk shows that he'd been on. Mark Davis's show and John Solomon and Bannon. And I thought, John is really good with talking with people.
This was before I hit the big time with the Most Man show, by the way.
Yeah. No, those, we are definitely bottom rung compared to those guys.
And it was great. I've been in the service business for a long time, and you meet a lot of people, and you get to where you can make assessments about people, whether it's over the phone or the tone of their voice or their countenance. And, I thought John had some good, John had the right ingredients.
Well, you're a businessman though, right?
Well, I mean, I do my best,
But you run your own company.
Trump, but I mean,
you run your own company.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so that's why y'all hit it off.
He's being modest too.
Yeah.
He does pretty well. So
yeah, but what I'm getting, same here, is that here's what I think exactly what he's doing, okay? And I remember when he started all this, I was like, man, I need to get involved. But he's an ex-business guy. If you've never made payroll before, you don't understand how the world operates.
Yep.
And that's the problem with Kay Granger's. That's the problem with our politicians right now.
Yeah.
Is that and I don't want to gloat on this to me, but I'll tell you the full story off air, okay? Because I don't want to take away from what y'all are doing. Mm-hmm. But they wanted me to run for county commissioner one time, and they told me, so such amount of money, this, that, and the other, and you only got to work 2 days a week, get a county truck, and I was like, don't worry about it. It's the taxpayers' money. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
I don't want to take that for that. I want to be able to do good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not about taking the taxpayers' money. We work hard for our money.
I agree.
And
I agree.
And the ebb and flow of businesses, man, that's real life. That's how the real world works. And they sit up there having all those cocktail parties up there.
Yeah.
And it's just a big pot of money to them. They don't care.
You mean you never had a Federal Reserve Bank in the back of your business office where you could just print money anytime you had bills come in?
Yeah, no doubt. Be nice. Be nice.
Not all politicians can be rehabilitated. Once they go from that, once they go from that public servant, it's a 2 to 4 year. And John and I had that conversation. How long? Something happens. Something happens when you cross over that. You go from, I guess it's in the Army or in the services. You go and you serve 24 months, and if you want to go back and do active duty or so on, but you've kind of completed your service in like 2 to 4 years, and so to which people should say thank you. Now, thank you. Now let's let somebody else. Let's get some new perspective in here. In fact, let's let that leader transition some new leadership in. John, John sat down and talked about that. John's like, I'm a 2 to 4 year kind of person, and I said, that's great. He said, I'd definitely like to be helping transition that new leadership in place and even helping them get on the radar. So, and I think that's the way that it should work. But not every politician can be rehabilitated. I think if a politician wants to get clean and get his feet back on the ground like working class Americans, I think they have to go back.
I would like to see that cleansing.
I think they have to go back into the private sector.
Yeah.
And I think they have to go mow yards again or clean pools again or wire up electrical panels or, whatever it is, the people who practice law, be a doctor, whatever it is. But I think there's just some point in time where you go from the public servant thing to the career politician thing, and that's not working.
And that's what's made Trump is he's a business guy and he ran this country like a business.
Yeah.
He knows what a budget is. He knows whether we got it or not. And John's the same way. And that's what I'm saying. When you win this thing, you're going to set off a firestorm of business people in Fort Worth and Parker County. I didn't forget at that time. Got my ass chewed last time. Parker County too. So, but I've noticed in just Parker County, there's business. Jerry Stockton, you know who he is? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's running for what? Not constable. Is it constable?
Yeah, I think he's running for one of the constable races.
Yeah. He's an old Concord customer of mine. He used to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he used to build houses. Yeah. He's a home builder. He developed a lot of Alito. He did very well. Yeah.
Well, look, the people out in Parker County are completely engaged. In fact, in Tarrant County, even though it's bigger, so it represents about 70% of the district voter-wise. Parker County is only 30%, but Tarrant County only has about half of their precinct chair positions filled. So, there's like 300, 330. The current chairman right now is doing a really good job trying to recruit and grow the party base because the Republican Party is a ground up, so the precinct chairs actually have some power. Well, in Parker County, because it's smaller, they don't have near as many precinct chairs. If I guessed, maybe 30, 40. They're actually running in races there. There are a couple of precinct chair seats where there are literally 3 people running for one precinct chair. And they're taking it very seriously. They're running for that position. Whereas here in Tarrant, we have a hard time filling them all. So, look, Parker's engaged, man. I wish the rest of the country were more like Parker County.
Well, it's because they're coming out of there because they want to get out of Tarrant County, all the garbage that happened there. I mean,
they've got a great perspective. We've talked about that a few times, that the battle's going to be won up north town and out west.
Yeah.
That wonderful people in the city are wonderful. We drove the neighborhoods in the golf cart and talked to anyone who's outside. We visit with them, and they're wonderful people. There's something special about our people that kind of live in the rural areas. You got a high concentration of people with their feet on the ground and just kind of, I don't want to say salt of the earth people, but they are regular people that kind of the common sense is it's pervasive out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just you could be talking to the plumber and you listen to his shtick and you're like, that guy's spot on. Just jump, or it really doesn't matter. But just a lot of people, their feet on the ground and I'll tell you, there's a lot of people nowadays that are really informed, and that's the big thing. With me, it's like we want, if you're not going to vote for John, then vote for who you're going to vote for and know why you're voting for them. And I mean, if you don't know why, for so long, I think people just they're part of the club. I live in West Fort Worth, so there's a club in West Fort Worth. It's just kind of the club. Who's everybody voting for? And that's not the right way to do it. I think the right way to do it is sit down, take 5 minutes, and if you don't know, hey, where can I find out some background information on these two candidates? Well, there's places like Texas Scorecard. You can dip your feet in and kind of find out pretty quick kind of what everybody's agenda, what their voting record is, and so on and so forth. And I just tell people, look, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. What I'm asking you to do is, one, just don't tell me you're not voting because you're just tired of seeing what's on TV. The problem we're having is because people aren't involved in the process. You got to get involved in the process. Number two, you can't just give your vote away anymore. You've got to look, and these votes are important now. They count. There's people that are coming in and running our district attorney's offices. There's people that are serving on our people that are making some really critical decisions for our city, our neighborhoods, our state, and it's just time for people to. And everybody's been working. Everybody's been busy and nose down and going hard. But the world is changing
at lightning speed.
The stuff that we're seeing happen now, it's just like, this is so bizarre. What in the hell is going on? And I think it's a situation where America is a corporation in a way. The citizens that are able to vote are the shareholders. The company is not being run properly. Mm-mm. People are not showing up for the shareholder meeting. And so and you ask, well, why the hell do they do that? And I say, why does the guy that John's running against, Craig Goldman, I haven't seen him debate him once. Why does he no-show this big town hall in 76109 right on the backdrop of our neighborhood where, I mean, that's right in the heart of where this whole, that I'd say his kind of neighborhood.
It was right across the street from his synagogue.
No, and people say, why is it someone here? And I'd say, because they don't have to be here. They know people know what they can get, what they do it because they can get away with it. And I just know, I know his record. I know it just doesn't line up with mine. I don't have anything personal any personal negative comments to say about Craig Goldman, other than I've looked at his voting record and it doesn't represent me. So I have to vote for someone who represents me. If you want my vote, well then you have to represent me, and it's just that simple. And I think just telling people, quit giving your vote away and don't do who's popular. Get involved in the process, and it's really easy to get involved. That's really kind of the main reason I'm here. I haven't had anything to do with politics, and I don't want to be. There's something refreshing about volunteering. John has this huge ground game, and I'm telling you, it's motivated, and it's powered by John's humility and John's competency. John is a very competent person. He's very educated on the platform. He knows what he believes. Very articulate, very approachable, not tightly wound. You go and you watch him in front of people. John's very good speaking with people. People can come up to him, ask him a question. They can target him on something, and he can respond back. And he's just very engaging. Doesn't know something, he'll tell you. And there's something sincere about John, and there's something humble about his campaign. And I think the people that you see that are going out and literally they're going. John didn't know what these people are doing, but these troops are just deployed, and they're doing it because they believe in what John represents. And I told him the other night after the town hall, I said, man, no matter what happens in this election, you are absolutely the best candidate. And I've told that to people over and over again. John is a great candidate. That's all I can tell you.
And we talked about this on the last podcast, is this was him before he got into politics.
Yeah, I didn't know him then, but
no,
not just easy.
The exact tenor in his voice, the way he talks,
yeah,
That's exactly how he talked before.
Yeah.
And there was, you know, I won't get into our business dealings, but I worked with him on a few deals for the company that he was with. And man, I've been in business for myself since I was 17, and I was in the ready mix business. I was in the concrete business. So there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money being played with, but you're talking millions.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but I've never seen somebody get something done as fast as he did. I was like, good God, this was done at lightning speed.
Yeah.
And I see what he's doing, like his schedule that he keeps up with.
Yeah.
I mean, we were friends back then, but I'm just saying that's who he was back then.
Yeah. Well, I look into details like, you know, what's this guy's education background? John's got a very compelling education background. John's very well, you know, I read a lot. John's very well read. And it's important. I mean, you really
and traveled.
There's not a lot, you know, there's not a lot of BS. Like it was funny, the town hall meeting the night, where the questions were coming in. You've seen politicians just sit and just BS their ways through stuff, and I mean, John was just very quantifiable, very data driven, and so you know, I'm telling you, he's a great candidate.
He is, and I'm going to tell you something.
He's got to win because he will.
He's going to win.
John will go and represent the people.
But you watch how much stuff he gets done with his worth ethic, and how I've never seen anybody do things as smooth as he does them.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, and his office is like that. I mean, you can tell.
With not very wrinkles in between. A lot of times you're doing stuff with other people, there's all sorts of bumps along the way. It's clean.
Yep. So.
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
A lot of positive stuff going on out there, and it's been fun for me. I'm totally new to this. Literally, it started the day I walked in John's office. And I thought, you know, there's something for everybody to do. All you got to do is just say, what can I help with? And that's the fun part of to me, that's the fun part of the process. Not trashing people or getting all, you know, we want to get everybody out to vote. We want to make sure everybody votes, they know why they're casting their vote and vote. But just being part of the process, there's something you feel like you're serving your country. You know, when you get out in the neighborhoods and I told John, we get in the golf cart, I was like, if they're outside, they're fair game. We're going to talk to them. And I said, I talked to everybody. And we had a lady that told us that she thought Trump was a complete criminal. And we were both like, it's okay. You can think that. Yeah, I mean, she had a right to think Trump's a criminal. And I think John asked her kind of point of question, like, why specifically do you say that? And then long story short, the conversation was over. It was a nice ending. And I told John that the worst that she could say about us was two MAGA Republicans came over, and, you know, we had a nice conversation, didn't get heated. I expressed my views. They kind of expressed theirs, and we shook hands and we just waved goodbye as a neighbor and as a fellow American.
That's the way it should be. And
it should be that way.
I am hugely, hugely optimistic because I've got younger kids.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't even 2016 and 2020, my kids were involved. Okay. Now the millennials, there's a gap there. We know that, right? This younger generation, they're engaged, man. Think about being 23, 24, 25, trying to get ahead right now. Go buying a house. The land I'm buying is,
it's tough.
Land's not going to be cheap in Texas no more. Housing in Texas is not going to be cheap anymore. And
no,
that's over. But what I'm getting at, like my son is 14 years old. Okay. And they are all in it.
That's great.
They are. And this was even when he was 8 or 9, when Trump was running in 2020. Yeah. 2020. So just quickly, he went out and bought Trump flags and all this big gated entrance at our place. And we had 2 flags. Well, I'm going and looking for his BB gun. Something was getting into my bird feeder, squirrel or something. And I, just like any boy or man, we keep our shotgun and our BB gun behind the door, right?
Right.
So I opened up the door and it said Trump 2020, no more bullshit. But he put it behind the door because he was afraid, because he's 9 years old. He was afraid he's going to get in trouble with his mom.
Yeah, right.
You know, bullshit. You know, she was on the same page, but I'm just saying, he said, I didn't want mom to see the word bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, so I have very, very high expectations for the future, but we've got to get you in, and we've got to get people like you in that understand how the world, not just the world. I mean, let Trump handle the nation, right, in the world, but down at the on the levels where it matters, we need people like you, and we need more people like you.
Well, good news. There are people running. I'll tell you right now. So, again, Ken Paxton, my good friend, who endorsed. And, in fact, Baron helped. We had a fundraiser at Rivercrest Country Club where Ken came and spoke, and it was a great event.
Excellent.
But, you know, one of the things is that he said, look, you know, so many of these state house representatives don't represent the will of the people. I mean, they're going off and doing their own thing. Rather than getting border security passed or school choice or allowing the Attorney General to prosecute election crime, which because our criminal court of appeals ruled he couldn't. But rather than taking on those priorities, they were secretly impeaching Ken, you know, in a closed door kind of Star Chamber process. Well, again, it's not vindictiveness. It's that these people clearly are not representing the will of the people. I mean, when you have 86 Republicans and yet the Texas House with only 64 Democrats, but it's run like a Democrat organization, well, clearly there needs to be some house cleaning.
Yeah.
And so he's working on that. So as I mentioned, he's endorsed 20 races. There's 3 that we're helping. There's another one up in Denton, Andy Hopper, that's running against Glenn Stuckey, or Lynn Stuckey, who was one of those impeachment voters. I mean, we're literally finding, Jack Reynolds is running against Charlie Guerin. I mean, every single incumbent who just blatantly disregarded their voters, we're trying to get replaced. Are we going to win every one of them? No. But are we going to win enough of them that's going to make a difference? Yeah. And I can tell you this, we're catching their attention for sure. Same way going on in the federal. So this seat became open because Kay decided she wasn't going to run against me. A couple other people piled in as well. Well, then Michael Burgess' seat north of us opened up. I think there's 13 candidates in that one. Now, there's several good ones. I mean, it's a shame that some of them don't find a different race to get into. But what I'm seeing is this energy and this enthusiasm. And in fact, the state rep who was at Mercy Culture, who then went to Vince Amonas later, said, man, I'm seeing the electorate more fired up than I've ever seen it before.
Well, and that's good. And that's that's the point that I was going to make, is that's what they hate so bad about Trump and all this movement that's happening, is now they're going to have competent people that know how to get things done and have a high worth ethic, that they're not afraid to work. You know what I mean? They're afraid that the gravy train's over, and it needs to be over. We need to have people like you and all other seats from here to here. And I think we've got the dam cracked.
Yeah.
We damn sure got the dam cracked.
Yeah.
But it's inspired me. It's inspired a lot of people that I know that are business people. They don't have to just be a business guy, you know, but somebody that's done something, actually accomplished something in life that that's like, okay, there are a reason why there's laws and rules and regulations. Got it. Okay. But this is what's choking the whole system is all you people up here that don't understand how you're missing out on so much more tax dollars if you would just let the guy do his job.
I mean, take a look at so Trump had a rule that for any new rule or regulation that he was going to pass during his administration, they had to get rid of at least 2. I ended up thinking they ended up getting rid of 9 to 1. There was another candidate in that Congressional District 26 race who told me, and I might not be exactly right with the numbers, so forgive me, but it was something like there's 5,400, like federal laws, and there's something like 4,600, state laws. So, I mean, you've got businesses and people dealing with over 10,000 laws that I guarantee you they don't know the vast majority of. You have these regulatory agencies that basically act as if they're legislative bodies and enforcement bodies as well. For example, the EPA, they just passed some clean air resolution that is going to cost Dallas and Fort Worth more money than God. And for what? I mean, candidly speaking, we're one of the cleanest, countries in the world right now, and it's because we were using natural gas and nuclear and the idea that, well, we're gonna curtail all the impact from China and India and all these other third world countries, and we're gonna bankrupt our country to kind of make up for them. It's just to your point about there's no common sense, there's no business application to it.
No.
But those are the people running government, and so like President Trump says, they're not after him, they're after us. Well, then we need people in Congress who are going to be willing to go do the same thing, to go jump on the proverbial grenade and not worry so much about what their lobbying gig's going to be afterwards, or how many of their special interest groups are going to tick off and not get campaign contributions for re-election next time.
Well, I think I am optimistic that everybody's awake and why people are behind a guy like you. I mean, I know exactly why they're behind you. I mean, he's doing a better job of explaining it because I know you. This is you. You know what I mean? I don't know you as any other guy, right? But I feel the movement. I think everybody feels the movement that we've had enough.
I think you hear Trump say, the American people see what's happening.
Yes.
Happening. And you can, there's something incredible happening with our African-American brothers and sisters and our Hispanic brothers and sisters. They're seeing this, and there's something resonating because you can see some of the events, just some of the events I've been with John. I mean, it is a multicultural group of people that are just shooting in the same direction, and it's really kind of cool to see. And I think I don't think there's anything wrong with recruiting leaders out of the business community. Business people tend to look at objectives from a
business
debit,
standpoint,
credit ledger standpoint.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, well, we can't do all that because we don't have enough money to do that. Well, do it anyway. Well, if we do that, we're going to go bankrupt. We can't do that. So it doesn't. That's not. There's a level of common sense that comes out of that.
Yeah.
And I think and there's you hear people pry you sometimes. Boy, Baron, you ought to get into politics. I'm happy right where I'm at, helping. Like John said earlier, there are so many people that are so qualified that are coming up in the ranks. Younger people. At the town hall the other day, I did notice it when we mentioned that there's a lot of older people. There weren't that many young people, but there are a lot of the TCU college Republicans were there.
Yep.
But there are a lot of young people that are looking at this and scratching their head. I think it's been wonderful that Trump. I think it was wonderful that Trump. There's this lull in between his first and third term, where people have actually gotten to see how dirty the system is when the rules don't apply, when due process doesn't apply to people. When I speak to a lot of my Hispanic brothers and sisters, I tell them the people that are the concentration of power, the concentration of liberal power, they're that you see in D.C. or you see in the state or you see in local or a district, DA's offices. They look at that and they don't realize those same people those same people exist in Mexico. Those same people exist in Ireland. Those same people exist in Guatemala. The same people exist in Argentina. The same people exist in Paris. It's a mentality, and they're the people that eat away at people's rights and think they know better than the working class people, and that's just not the facts. And it's a small group of people, and I just remind you, don't listen to people tell you they're just going to give you all this stuff. The country didn't. The real beauty of our country didn't get where it is because people gave them something. We fought for stuff.
We fought and earned
stuff, and there's something and there's a legacy and a heritage. There's a legacy and a heritage that we can be a part of with the younger people. It's scary to be. It's just my guess. Coming through high school, middle school, high school, trying to figure out, gosh, what am I going to do with my life? Or you spent 4 years in college, and it's like, now what? We're about to graduate and don't really have any big job offers, and older people, mature people that can reach out to those young people and say, look, and be mentors and and encourage them in the process. You want to see the economy strengthen up. Got to give people more. You got to get the power back to the people. The government can't get any bigger. It's already too big now. Nobody can tell it what to do. So we got to take some power away from the government and put it back to the people, so that the people can go into the shareholder meetings and say, we're not happy with the way things are going, so we're all going to cast our votes. So we assess the votes, we look at it and realize, hey, we got majority now, so we're going to take that management team who sucked. They've done a crappy job. We're going to fire everybody, and we're going to put in another team. And that team is going to come to work knowing that, hey, our shareholders are actually showing up at the shareholder meetings now.
Yeah.
And they're going to be there, and they're going to be looking at the reports, and they're going to say, hey, what is this? What is that? And they're going to be expecting you to they're going to be expecting you to answer the call. And when you don't, there's going to be a consequence to that. So it's common sense. This is common sense type stuff. A lot of people in the business community understand it better because they, you run out of cash, you don't have a business anymore.
Okay, so, most man moment. That's what the men's club is all about. That's what we're building here.
I think you are on to something, man. I'm telling you. That's
as a little advisory to your listeners, your audience. When you go to type that in, it's got to be join the man's club, because if you type in just man's club or men's club, it takes you someplace completely different.
You have to type in jointhemensclub.com.
Yeah, well, I found that out the hard way. So there's a certain gentleman's establishment that is called
No, it's jointhemensclub.com. But that's the whole point of this, is we're building a community of just what you're talking about, kids going to college. Like we're building a program to where they don't have to go to college. We can teach them business
absolutely for
a small nominal fee, a membership fee. I've built several businesses from here to here. We've got a perfect guy. Just an example of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I use this guy. I do a lot of real estate. Okay. I've made just as much money in real estate that I did in concrete. Mm-hmm. So whether it be land deals, rental houses, whatever, all that stuff, right? Yeah. I've got a guy. His name's Brandon. Mm-hmm. He's the one that did. I'll show you this pickle juice back here that he made. He's the one that came up with.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. Okay, but at any rate, he's in the vending business.
Yeah.
Do you know he makes more money off of a $3,000 vending machine that I made off my rent properties?
Yeah.
$150,000 houses. He makes anywhere from $800 to $1,500 a month off of one machine that's $3,000 or $4,000. Okay, but that's what he does. He builds. He helps people come out. Because not everybody that's stuck in the cubicle, that they're sitting there going, how am I going to get out of debt? How am I going to, I got this college debt. Yeah. Don't know what to do. And in college, they don't teach you the business, No. This is how you make money.
Yeah.
Even people that have degrees in business.
Yeah.
They don't know how to make money. But that's a perfect example of.
I love that.
Of a angle to where you can start a side hustle to where you don't have to quit your job.
Exactly.
And show you how to make money. We've got private guys that have got private money that are willing to take that risk as long as we're overseeing the project, helping this person, they'll fund the money. Same thing with real estate. Once everything it's not going to calm down, but once the interest rates get to where we've stabilized and we know what's going on, we're going to start doing that too. So, but that's the premise behind the men's club.
I think the education there. I think some of the biggest opportunities we have in America, just in my own personal opinion, the education system, we're pivoting towards trades. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, the cost of a college education is
insane.
It's just it's not necessarily it's not
feasible.
You just have to assess it from an investment standpoint and say what makes more sense. And I think what we can do, I think we need to start the direction. I think we need to start thinking with education is. I'll just give you a little bit of an example. I think there's a lot of things. I think most of the stuff that we do in high school can be done in middle school. Okay. I think the majority of stuff we do in college can be done in high school. So then what is college? Is college specialty? Okay, well then maybe it's specialty.
Baron, when are you going to teach the 52 different genders?
I'm not going to teach those.
Okay.
I'm not going to teach those. I just think that,
And you get to pay interest for that too.
I think there's when I went to business school at TCU, and it was a great experience actually. But I look back and I think to myself, if I'm being honest, the 2 years that I did in the business lower core, those 2 years, John at TCU, finance degree, I couldn't hack that. Well, that's a lot of math. But I look at that at that time, the business school lower core, and it was like marketing, management, information system. You know, the basics that you get 99% of what you need right out of that. Now those other courses that where you kind of specialize, those are all good too. But let's just face it, that in my opinion, that business lower core, that could have taken that and run with it. To be honest with you, I look at that and think, why can't you do the business lower core? And they're probably doing this in the education system.
Quick question on that. Do you think that they teach this to the last grade I ever finished was 9th grade, so I don't know this, but I just want to ask this question. Both of y'all can answer it. Do you think college, they teach you a business degree? Mm-hmm. Are they teaching you the business degree to where you can get along in the corporate world? Because how I'm kind of I'm the lone sheep that doesn't do the corporate, right?
So when I was going through, there was really kind of a fundamental shift that was taking place in grad school. So I agree with what Baron's saying as far as undergrad. Now I got a degree in political science and a degree in finance, so I kind of some of it was in the humanities and some of it was in business, and so it was kind of an interesting blend. But yeah, I mean that was kind of, hey, here are the basic tools and kind of some of the philosophies and things that you need to be aware of to know and run or be a part of a business. And then I think the grad schools typically were more of, hey, here's how, here's the way you wear your suit. Mm-hmm. Here's the way, here's the kind of the lingo and the jargon and the right things to be part of the club and to be accepted. But what ended up happening was at UT at the time, which is a top 20 MBA program, the recruit and one of the best recruited as far as companies coming in and looking for employees, they were telling people, look, we're tired of these MBAs coming out of school, like being kind of real polished, but not knowing how to work or interact in a team dynamic. And so all of my classes got to where everything was group oriented. In fact, I'll give you, like one class said point blank, you can't score a better grade on your exam than the lowest grade in your group. Well, okay. Well, now all of a sudden, the impetus is on to make sure there are no weak links, right?
Right.
And it was an interesting time too, because just a funny aside, it was when the military was downsizing under the Clinton administration, and so you had a lot of people leaving engineering from the defense industry, and the engineers were not necessarily the most socially gifted people. And so group presentations and working and interacting in group functions with, a number of engineers was kind of like, all right, give me this part. You go do the research. We'll do the presentation, because we need to do well here. So I think there is some of that. And I think, again, back, this was, 93, 95. Yeah. So, this was almost 30 years ago. But
TCU was pretty heavy accounting. TCU Business School was it was transitioning from a really, this is just my opinion, because the Baron didn't know what he's talking about because he was in the marketing department, that's why. But we walked up the staircase and like marketing and management to the left, finance and accounting to the right, although I did well in accounting. I liked accounting. But I do think TCU was more of a corporate accounting type school, personally. And then John's right. Things started transitioning, and the entrepreneurship program came in at TCU.
They had that student-led investment fund, which I thought was a great experience for a lot of people.
So, bottom line, I think that we have to look and say, okay, how many of these classes in this 100+ hour program, how many of these do I need to take again? Why do I need to take sociology again? I mean, why do I need to take Spanish again?
And the reason I'm asking is because a lot of these kids are coming out of college and they can't get jobs because now companies are like, we want you to know how to work. Like you got to. So you can't just come in.
I think I know what you're going. So look, let's be honest. A lot of university right now is kind of an accreditation. here's my degree. I got my degree from here. Here's
Right.
my GPA. You know, this is my entree into upper echelon or polite society. Well, there's a school that I got involved with. In fact, Wildcatter became a sponsor of back when I was with Wildcatter. And I became aware of it because they started passing out some information after Mass one day, and it's associated with the Catholic Church, and it's called Cristo Rey. And it was started by some Jesuits up in Chicago. And it was kind of addressing kind of what we're talking about there were kids who really didn't have the opportunity to go to college and get that accreditation, and so have some of those doors open up, because really at the end of the day, after you've been out of school for a couple of years, really the most important things you have were the contacts that you made and the opportunities that were open up to you. So what they did is they started a private school, because the public schools, as you can imagine, in certain parts of Chicago were so deplorable that they had no hope.
Right.
And so with the school, it was a private school run by Catholics with the traditional Western education. But here's the deal. In order to pay for it, the parents only contributed what they could afford. If it was $50, $100 a month, $20 a month, whatever it was. The vast majority of the funding came from companies that hired teams of the students.
That's great.
And so they worked in a pod. So you had 4 students assigned to a company, and one person came in one day, one person came in the second day, and then on Fridays they kind of rotated through. So you were typically, these kids were working 5 days a month in addition to their classwork, you know, inside a business. And it had multiple benefits. I hope they were intended, but if they weren't, it was just genius how it worked out. A, those kids got exposure to real life businesses.
Mm-hmm.
B, because they typically were coming from neighborhoods where they didn't see neighbors that worked in those businesses, in banks and law firms, architectural firms, engineering companies, things like that. All of a sudden they realized, hey, I actually belong here. I can make it here. You know, I got something I can shoot for. And C, they were getting real hands-on experience. I mean, literally, there were some of these kids that when they were coming through the Cristo Rey program at the end of the day, I mean, I know it was kind of counter to what the school was wanting to hear, but I was like, man, if I were you, I'd just skip college right now and just go to work for the company. You've basically interned for the company for 4 years, and they know you, they love you, they'll give you a job right now. Why bother going to school?
It wouldn't be hard to turn the counseling departments in our high schools. Yeah, let me say middle school too. It wouldn't be hard to at TCU we'd go into I forget what it was, the career center or whatever, and we go in there and we just review all the jobs that people are trying to recruit TCU students to come and work in. I'm thinking to myself, the counseling departments in high schools and middle schools
Can do the same thing.
You can work in middle school. You can push a lawnmower. You can do plenty. So I mean, I'm thinking to myself, let's think about how powerful work and apprenticeship is in the big scheme of things. And I think there's just so many courses that we're taking over and over again that are not gonna deliver any financial upside to.
That's me. I was raised by a single mother, had no opportunity. My principal was one of my very close friends, and still we used to go fishing together when we were younger. But what he told my mom, he said, I'm letting him out of school.
Yeah.
He's making more money right now than I was at his age, or at 25 years old. He's either going to be dead, wildly successful, or in prison. He said, I'm going to bet on all three. But school's not for him. This kid is a very, very smart kid.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah.
But he's a hard worker. And but why I bring this up is I'm seeing that in my son's generation right now. Mm-hmm. All of those kids, they know how to work. They all race motocross.
They're rethinking.
No, they know how to work. They tear their motorcycles apart. They tear their vehicles apart and do all the installation stuff themselves. Because like the new thing for like all, and we live in Aledo, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a, that's no I mean, there's sports driven, but what I'm saying is I see that and I'm like, my God, my nieces and nephews would never do that. Mm-hmm. Ever. They're millennials. And they all are like, man, they see the opportunity in the trades right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be the next pot of millionaires in the trades.
What would that be like? I mean, seriously, and what would it be like for parents if the counseling departments at middle schools and high schools were, well, there's part-time, do you need a part-time job? I mean, sometimes people need a part-time job just to occupy their time, downtime.
Weatherford's got a diesel program that my son's going to join at 15.
Man, I'm telling you, working on those diesels. The thing is, if these counselors can get out and just turn the counseling offices into one segment of the counseling offices. And they can still be geared towards extended education, but I mean, turn them into employment agencies.
Apprenticeship kind of
for the
program,
high
yeah.
school
Because
kids, middle school kids. Like, hey guys, there's a company down the street. They need people to work on the weekends, and you can be, as long as you're old enough to be employed, you can work there, and it's better, a little bit better than minimum wage, and if you do a good job, you work your way up. But and pushing trades. Well, there's an electrical company, there's a plumbing company, there's a HVAC company, there's a landscaping company. There's a computer company,
drywall
company.
Yeah,
I mean, framing drywall.
I got a perfect point about
We
this.
all know this because we've done that. But I'm saying, like, all the kids, think about how much hope that all of a sudden. I mean, when they asked Trump, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do to make America great again?" Something that he said that always stuck to me was, "I'm going to put America back to work.
Right.
I'm going to put some money in everybody's pockets." And to me, man, that made that hair on my arm stand up.
Perfect example.
That's what you want to do. Get everybody working.
Yep.
Everybody
Perfect example.
Spending money.
We live in Aledo because I've got a 19-year-old daughter about to be 20.
Yeah.
I've got a 17 about to be 18. Okay. Well, in Aledo, the parents just hand out the credit cards, the American Expresses. Now, it's to quit asking me for money, but at the same time, it's the helicopter.
Yeah.
I can control what you do. So all those kids, like my daughter's generation, they're like, I don't want your credit card. I don't want a debit card. I want to go get a job.
That's great.
I don't want you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need you
and look,
needling where I'm spending your money.
We're talking about a microcosm of exactly what we're dealing with right now with the federal government, right? Which is that the federal. So to get this back to politics, in which by
Yes,
the way,
we need
to. No, we don't. But I mean, this is a good conversation. But I'm all for the abolishing of the Department of Education. That's not specifically spelled out in the Constitution. That's not a federal right. It belongs down in the state. So get rid of the Department of Education. But now so there was in this neighborhood association that had this dinner, and it was interesting because it was a bipartisan crowd. So it was just the neighborhood. So it wasn't a Republican grassroots or club or entity. And they actually had some of the Democratic candidates come up as well. And interesting, nice people. I enjoyed visiting with them. And there was a Q&A session afterwards. And this one gentleman said, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm an independent. I view myself in the 70% in the middle. There's 15% of this ultra MAGA on the right and 15% of this, radical progressive leftist on, I think he got his numbers wrong, but okay. I understood his point. He said, but what will all of you vow to kind of break this logjam? Because right now government's not getting anything done. They're not doing anything. It's frustrating me. I'm yelling at the TV set. So I was shocked. All the candidates, including all the Republican candidates, stood up and said, oh, yeah, no, I understand what you mean. It's upsetting to me, too. I was the only candidate that stayed sitting down. And so the woman who was kind of emceeing it said, John, do you care to defend your position? And I turned and I looked at him. I said, sir, part of my problem is I disagree with the basic underlying premise of your question, which is I don't believe government solves our problems. I think government causes the majority of our problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you're talking about right now with what you're seeing in this younger generation is that they want agency. They don't want a handout. They don't want to, again, the tired analogy, but it's appropriate. They don't want to be given a fish and basically conscribed to, slavery or, being stuck on a plantation. They want to learn to fish and they want to go provide for themselves. I've got 3 kids, one who's, actually got his own business, married. I have a grandson, he has a 3-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my youngest son who's finishing up college right now, and my middle child has had some problems. And what I will tell you is at the point in time where she was working and actually able to provide for herself and was holding down a job was probably the best she ever felt about herself.
It feels great accomplishing.
And you have to have a sense of purpose. And so to me, this whole welfare state, what I hate about when I was young, when I was young, I was ultra-conservative, and I was upset about the welfare program because I felt like it was theft, okay? You can still make the argument that it's a illegal form of redistribution, right, that should be handled through private charity. But what I hate about it now is I see it's soul-stealing For people who become dependent upon welfare, they're disincentivized to go out and find their own path, to go fulfill their own God-given mission. And so that's where I think there's a real, and it's even the establishment. Look, it's the Democrats and the establishment Republicans, because as much as they bellyache about, the Democrats, they actually are more in cahoots and alignment with them than the America First. America First is about giving people agency and getting the government out of the way so that they can go take care and make the most of their life. And if something happens to them, unintentional or unfortunate, we'll have some safety nets and we'll have some private, groups or agencies or whatever that can kind of help backfill and pick up. But what we're not going to do is just put you on the dole and then just have you be this mindless zombie, good citizen sheep like we talked about in the last podcast, where they just want, kind of willful, compliant people who are just going to go along and
pay taxes
and get their good social credit score so they get their weekly deposit, or whatever it's going to be. So this whole conversation that we were just having right now about education, about the young generation or whatever, I mean, to me, it's like the perfect, microcosm of what's actually taking place on who's going to control government right now and which direction is it going to go.
Well, because you got people my age, I'm 45, and we're not all of what my sisters did with their kids. Oh, everybody gets a ribbon. You're so great. And all the millennials. They went through that whole brainwashing to where they're just like, you try to hold a conversation with them, and if it can't be texted or what, but I'm just saying now, it was parents like us that were like, we're not raising our kids like that.
No.
Like that's what I told my wife early on. I said, if you think we're raising our kids like that, let's nix it now, because that's not the way. But it wasn't just me. It was all the women too. And all the men were like, nah, we're not doing that. We're making our kids accountable. They're going to clean up. They're not. You do something wrong, you get punished. We're not going to beat you to death.
Right.
But you're going to earn. It's not just walk up. I need. Okay. Well, I need the yard mowed. I need the flower bed. We're going to teach it. My son knew how to weld at 3 years old.
Wow. Okay.
But he was interested. He was like, teach me how to do that. I want to learn.
No, I mean, that's great. Look, I mean, my whole thing of it is, this participation trophy, and let's have a safe environment, and let's make sure that nobody falls down and skins their knees, and look, some of the most important life lessons I learned were through failures. Picking myself back up and dusting myself back off, and then kind of reassessing, okay, what just went wrong here? And or making a mistake and getting called out and taking a task over it. And so I mean, again, I think I maybe have quoted this in one of the earlier episodes, but there was a rabbi who just passed away not too long ago who was an amazing patriot named Rabbi Sparrow, and he said, look, we need to give people agency, but then we need to hold them accountable. We need a God-centered morality, and we need to understand that the individuals are sovereign and that tribalism is evil. And if we could get those 5 core principles into every aspect of our personal lives, our families, local governments, state and federal governments, we would get back to this constitutional republic and what was intended.
Okay, well, I see two. I'm going to bring up 2 points. One, my son and all his friends and my daughter, okay, she's going to college just because she wants to get a business degree.
Right.
Okay, I call her my mini-me. No, she's smart though. She's always followed me around on business. Just, how do you do this? How do you do that? I told her, hey, I got to file bankruptcy. And she goes, I know, you're just, at 16 years old. Yeah, you're just restructuring everything. It'll be all right. You'll be fine. It's
true.
But
she's right.
But here's the thing. It's the whole, we had the family plan on the phones. Okay. And you know how you can track another person's iPhone? And that's what my ex-wife does. She helicopters them. Why are you here? Why are you there? And they're like, here's my phone. I'm going to go get a job, and I'm going to get my own phone plan. Okay. I don't need this helicopter. I'm a good kid. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's like my son, same thing. He's like, if you want your phone back, you can have it back. And I'll get one from my dad, or I'll buy my own. Because And the other point is that my daughter, all my kids, but this generation, they know school's bullshit right now, or high school and junior high, and everything of what you were talking about, how it can be stepped down, get taken care of. They already know that. They know that they're wasting their time.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out how to get out of there as fast as they can to where they can get to what they know they can get done themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because there are a lot of so there are a lot of women volunteers in this campaign, and a lot of them double up and also are very on point with the independent school districts and kind of trying to change curriculums and get a lot of sex ed out and critical race theory and stuff. And they understand that me running for federal office, I'm not going to have any direct involvement on that. Like I said, I believe it's a state right issue. Abolish the Department of Education. Just leave that taxpayer money at the state and let the state decide how they want to handle it. But what I'm hearing from these parents who are directly involved in their kids' education or in the school boards and everything is that 60-70% of what they're wasting their time with right now is just superfluous. I mean, it's literally indoctrination. And I mean, and it runs counter to the parents' actual underlying values. And so, you know, I hate to say it, but I think the fact is, I think these school districts are leading to their own demise. The teachers' unions, you know, the Randy Weingartens of the world, and you're seeing a huge wave of homeschooling, and you're seeing a lot of charter schools and a lot of people trying to figure out ways that they can afford religious or private schools. And if Texas passes some kind of school voucher or some kind of tax dollar follows the kid or whatever like that, I mean, I think you're going to see a further implosion of the public schools, which is, you know, face it, what other entity do you know it isn't held accountable and is just not allowed to fail?
Yeah. Well, I've got my son, since he races motocross, well, a couple of his friends ride pro. I mean, my son just got his pro card, but I'm talking these kids are making money and they're sponsored. And there's his one friend, he's 15 years old and he's almost at six figures at 15 years old, but his parents, he was failing every class in public school. They took him out and started homeschooling. He gets his work done in an hour, and he's done. He's making straight A's. He'll graduate by the time he's probably 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Because he's learning the basics of what he needs to know.
How many of us have been studying for something, and it could have been in school, it could have been for work related or continuing education or something. You're sitting here studying, and you're thinking to yourself, when am I ever going to use this? When am I ever going to use this? We can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Our kids, so our kids are thinking the same thing. When am I ever going to use this? Went to business school at TCU. We're taking statistics. We're taking decision science. We're taking all this. You're taking calculus. And I'm looking at this stuff and I'm going, I know that I'm never going to use this. And you know what? I never have used it.
You're not running integration formulas on a daily basis?
That's a fact. I've never used it. So, what could we have done with those 4, 5, 10, 15 classes that could have just been, maybe we could have done something better with and taken those, and I think I like the idea of work study, and I like the ideas of college shifting down, high school shifting down, everything shifting down. I like the idea of the counselor's office becoming a employment center. I like the idea you can't have a work ethic if you've never worked, and everybody's gotten a job on their own before, but we can all probably relate to jobs we didn't get on our own. Someone actually, hey, would you like to work, or someone referred us, or so on and so forth, and we need that apparatus in place for the kids too, because I think you're right. This kid sitting in school and going, This kid can,
wasting my time here.
He can break a motorcycle down and put it back together. He could do the same thing with an air conditioning system. He can do the same thing with a car.
My son's charging his friends money. He charges money.
There's hundreds of thousands of kids.
I think we've just had a convert from campaign volunteer to school board contestant.
Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's true. So you can't have a work ethic if you don't have any work. And I think the theme for me here today is, you can get it whenever you want. If you want to see something change, you got to get involved in the process, and it's not that hard to get involved in. And
it sounds like you're having fun too.
You know what? Honestly, John and I, we've had that conversation. Let's have fun doing it.
Yep.
You're gonna go. You are running for a very sacred seat.
Yeah.
the guy that you're running against, okay, he is part of a group called the Dirty Dozen in the Texas legislature. Now, I don't know why he got that name, other than the film. We watched the film The Texas Heist that was put out, and I watched it, and I'm assuming that that's all true. But I mean, like it or leave it, but that's what they're a member of the Dirty Dozen. And this guy down here in the legislature, Phelan, who goes up and using the word sacred, you're running for the sacred office. Well, you have these sacred offices that the people, they come together, they get up off their rear, they go into the voting center, they put their time to stay and listen and pay attention to the candidate. They cast their vote, and then some guy takes the podium in the legislature and is drunk off his ass and can barely talk, and that's acceptable. It's absolutely not acceptable at all.
No, it's not.
It's not acceptable for there to be a vote in the legislature, and for the legislature to say, we're taking a vote. Okay? This is very sacred. We're going to take a vote. Should a citizen be the only person that can vote in our country, or should we also allow non-citizens? When that vote comes around, I'm sitting at my desk in the legislature, and I'm listening, and I'm paying attention, and I'm ready to cast my vote. I'm not present. No, you need to be a member of the country in order to be able to vote. You need to be a shareholder in order to be able to come in and cast a vote and oust the CEO because he's stealing money or whatever it is. And it's very sacred. And John and I had the conversation about this run. You're called to this very sacred seat. This is the 12th district seat in the United States House of Representatives. Think of all the great leaders that have filtered through that house over the years. It's a very powerful place. A lot of power. Very sacred. And what an honor to be there. What an honor for people to trust you, to respect you enough to say, okay, get up there and do the right thing, And John can do that. He's going to, and we talked about that too, is let's have fun doing it. You don't know if you're going to win it. We don't know if you're going to, who knows what's going to happen. All you can do is get out there, be a good leader, talk to the people. Get out there and talk to the people who are going to vote. Encourage them to come in. You're going to vote, know who you're voting for. You can jump in the process real easy, and it can actually be fun. You look at it on TV, and it's fighting, and it's all the, I think one of the ladies that I spoke to called this lady on the phone. She was some big person in Fort Worth on the a member of the Ladies Republican.
Fort Worth Republican women.
A lot of educated ignorance. She had absolutely no clue what's going on. Made the comment, boy, wow, it's getting dirty early on. I'm like, no, it's not getting dirty early on. People have had enough.
That's right. I was about to say people are tired of all the dirtiness.
People have had enough, and we're calling on people with common sense to step in, and you got a guy in John that has got a great business background, and he's got a great grassroots ground game. Needs financing. I didn't realize it until I get involved in politics. You got to put your money where your mouth is. You want to have your candidate. You got to donate some money. I mean, the signs aren't free. The traveling free things. Just things aren't free, and you can have fun doing it. You know what? What will you do with that extra $250? You'll blow it on a good bottle of wine or a great steak dinner. You know what? Send it into that campaign that a guy really wants to make a big difference and really wants to send the power back to the people. Take that $250 and send it in. It takes money to operate a campaign. And these guys have done a great job, and they need to win. And if you're out there and you're in the 12th district, you need to go and you need to do your homework. Go to the Texas Scorecard. Go watch the YouTube video put out by them, the Texas Heist, www.thetexasheist.com. The behavior that happens, if you're not happy with the behavior in the legislature, don't promote one of the people from the legislature to go to and duplicate that behavior in the House of Representatives. Absolutely not. I'm not voting I'm not voting for Craig Goldman because I don't like Craig Goldman. I'm not voting for Craig Goldman because he doesn't represent me.
Right.
I'm voting for John because I sat down with him and I talked to him and I asked him all these questions, including, you think you can go to D.C. and get around all that power and all these people? John's got his game plan. Here's how I'm going to handle meetings with lobbyists. Here's how I'm going to handle. Here's how I'm going to try to thwart that control. And I thought, that's a great game plan. You got it. There's not a better candidate. And if you're not going to show up for the job interview, and when there's a town hall and debate and let people get it and answer some hard questions, you're disqualified. You got to show up, and so I hope people will turn out for the vote. And if Craig Goldman aligns with your values and your platform, so be it. Craig Goldman is an American. He's a Texan. John is an American. John's a Texan. We believe we're rallying behind him, and we're going to push. To get him elected, and we expect him to go to D.C. and the stuff that we watch happen on TV, where they get a very important vote. John's not going to be a guy that's going to get up there in D.C. and vote present. He's going to vote no. He's going to vote no on those very He's going to take that voting process that's very sacred, and he's not going to just piss it away. And so I just encourage people to get involved in the process. It's very easy and it's fun. It is fun, and it's not what you watch on TV. It's not dirty like that. You can be respectable, and you can fight your fight. And we had a few years back, we had somebody in our neighborhood. They knocked down a Biden sign in somebody's yard. And the next day, they stole the Biden sign, or they did something with it, vandalized it. And so I don't really get on social media in the neighborhood social media, but I saw that and I thought, I'm going to weigh in on that. And so I just went and I said, look, let's respect each other's. Let's respect the process. Okay, this person is voting for Biden, and they have every right in the world to do that. They have a right to put their sign in the front yard. I'm going to put Trump's sign in my front yard. And you know what? Let's all pull and cheer for our candidate. Let's do everything we can to get him elected. And then when it's over with and the smoke clears and the person's been elected, then let's rally behind him as Americans, and let's plow forward. And if you don't like the way that election turned out, then you can be. The beautiful thing about America is you can rally the troops. You can recruit more people in to vote next time, and you can change things if you want to. And that's what we're really lucky to do.
Well, man, Baron, I don't know if we could end it on a better note than that. My man, that was a locker room speech.
Well, we're having fun doing it.
It sounds like it.
Let's all have fun doing it, and we wish all the candidates well, and we do. We mentioned Kay Granger's name. A lot of great things Kay Granger.
She did a lot of good things for there. Yeah.
Let's pass the torch on to some new blood, and let's let some new people get in. And there's all kinds of opportunities abound for people to impact the younger generation. We could talk about them being so different than us, or we can realize it's probably scary being that age right now. And technology is changing, and AI is going to enter the picture, and a lot of duties are going to go away.
Well, and they see those jobs going away with AI.
And we got to tell them, hey, we got to rally, we got to help one another, we got to encourage. If don't be the older guy who's intimidated by the young guy who's made more money than you. Tell him he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Tell him congratulations, you're richer than me. Good for you. And encourage the young people, and make them feel like, we don't need to make them feel like, they didn't do it like that in my day. I mean,
I think
there's some old school advice to give.
We'll talk about that because seriously, that's the way to end it. What you just said, that was a very impactful speech.
Thank you.
It was passionate, and I know you mean it. And I'm gonna let him close out if he's got anything to say. But thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, you're a lot of fun, man.
Thank you, man.
I knew you two would hit it off.
Yeah, we two peas in a pod.
Yeah. Well, God's blessed me with a number of really remarkable people in this whole process. And so, yeah, I mean, to dovetail on what Baron said, look, this is our country. It belongs to us. We have a say. The way it's set up is you vote, and you take ownership of your vote. So as I've been trying to outline over the last couple of, discussions we've had, not all Republicans are created equal. Go find somebody who represents your values. And Baron's absolutely right. Look, I'm an America First, support Trump's policies 100%, love Ken Paxton, am endorsed by Ken Paxton. And there are people who've said, I disagreed with Ken Paxton. I can't stand President Trump. You know, I'm more of a Bush person. Okay, well, then there's another candidate there for you. Then you probably support Craig Goldman. And that's the best thing. You know, we're a constitutional republic at the federal level, but at the state, we are a democracy. So, okay, you go vote, and we'll figure out how many more people align one way or the other. But let's make sure everybody's participating and they're making informed decisions. So from my perspective, if I can kind of end it on a positive, is that do your research. Early voting starts tomorrow, February 20th. It runs through March 1st. If you want to make sure that your vote is in and counted early, please show up at the polling locations and go cast your vote. If you're a game day voter, and I understand the wisdom or the reasoning behind that for people who are concerned with election integrity, that's fine too. But then if you are going to wait till Super Tuesday, March 5th, please get there and make sure your vote counts. This is David versus Goliath. I keep saying that over and over again. I estimate there's probably going to be about 85,000 Republican primary votes cast in this cycle. Go make sure that you're one of them. Okay, this race literally could either be won outright or go to a runoff based on a couple hundred votes, one way or the other. So every vote matters.
Everybody, get out and vote. We're gonna try to process this one fast, get it out. Okay. I don't know if everybody sees my new hat. Make alphas great again. Coming soon to
Love
you.
it.
Yeah. No more beta males. All right. Thank you very much, John.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, smash that subscribe button, comment, boys and girls. We need some comments. We're on Rumble. Come to Rumble. Okay. We're not censoring anybody over there. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartMedia. Join the mensclub.com. That's MENS, mensclub.com. Contact at jointhemensclub.com. Thank y'all. You have a great day.